include or even involve in any way. And it is the
Yeah.
way that has been done. And I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
can't see your presentation anymore.
Can you?
Yes, and then we come to yeah now, and then we have with the difference between, according to me, between exclusion and segregation is that when we are segregating them, they are still together as a unit but separate.
Okay.
In integration, some kind of effort with keeping them together with likes, but for a formality's sake, we kind of taking them in. Inclusion for me is the best because there is no, you cannot tell one from the other. It's like a perfect harmony.
Okay.
They're all there and all divided, distributed, and just surrounded by, everybody is surrounded by everyone.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask a small question. So we all agree. Manpreet ma'am, do you have something to comment on it? Megha ma'am, thank you so much for this wonderful opening statement. Manpreet ma'am, your hand is raised. Do you have anything to share with us? Okay. We move ahead. Carrying on with, I give you an example. I have a spastic child in my grade 9. He's on wheelchair. As part of a program for him, when a basketball tournament is held, he is made to keep the score, be the commentator, or support the team in whatever way he can. Is this inclusion or is it other form of being part of learning? Would you term it as inclusion? I would want your comments on in the chat box or whichever way. Would you term this as inclusion? You may comment it in the chat box, or you may unmute and comment, please. There's a child. Physically, he cannot participate in a sport. Megha ma'am, thank you. You say this is Suruchi ma'am. You also say this is inclusion. Indu ma'am also says. Rekha ma'am also says. Jennifer also says same. Kusum also says. Pooja ma'am also says that. Dolly ma'am, Kusum ma'am all agree. Charu ma'am says. I'm sorry to say this is not inclusion. This is partial inclusion. The inclusion is modality, moderation, changing the rules of the games, making basketball happen in a way that it accommodates everybody is inclusion. With this note, we begin our today's workshop because inclusion is larger. Inclusion is not just adjusting, again, adaptive to assistive. They are two different things. It is belonging. I have used the research which is later because it means schools, the organizing boards, the authorities have to work on universal design. And when I say universal design of learning, it means it is not that we will fit people, but it is we have plans of differentiation for all. And the principles of UDL, I'm not going to read. It simply says multiple means of representation, multiple means of expression and action, multiple means of engagement. How it can be, I'm showing you this while watching this PPT or watching this video. I want you to pick up 3 words that for you are inspiring, which also are new to you and have surprised you, like the partial inclusion. I would want you to tell me the 3 words in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself, that you found inspiring in this video. Personally, for me, community, accessible, and intentional planning for success of all. These words, intentional planning, because that's summing up of today's workshop, the journey we're taking together. I would want you to tell me which 3 words you have felt as inspiring, or which for you are surprising and a new addition in your own experience or learning. Which 3 words? When you could use mindset, you could use, and then we can discuss on it. Which words you would define? Would you like to pick up the word? Would you like to? Are we together? Are we there? Can I have a fantastic Mayuri ma'am? Mindset, planning for success, and accessible. And would you like to, Mayuri ma'am, tell us why these are important? Vasudha ma'am, thank you.
I feel without the mindset, you won't be able to plan anything. You need to be in that mindset that I need to do something for everyone, not to a particular set of students, but whoever I have in front of me, whatever I am planning, it should be suitable for everyone.
Thank you so much. And Navdeep ma'am, thank you. Belonging, mindset and belonging. Why did you choose belonging, Navdeep ma'am? Would you like to comment? Or because ultimately it is about accepting that variety is what makes the world. If we try to fit all in the similar format, what we are doing is it being presented? Can you see the slide? Can you see the slide? All right. So the best thing to do is pick your areas, and the essential inclusion support is, this is CBSE's own presentation in the handbook. Every area can have inclusive practices, whether it is games, educational, transportation support, setting up your modification in your infrastructure, your learning practices, advocacy in the society. We need to look at individual education plan. We look at differentiation. We look at the universal design. It means I will not exclude any curriculum from the special need, but I will see in variety of ways that they can have the same design of learning like all the other students in my class. Competency and trainings of teachers are equally important. The response and empathy of the peers, our accommodation of the variety that is there, instead of saying no, cannot fit in a regular school, what kind of vision and mission statements we make, what kind of modifications we take on in infrastructure, modifications in the society, in our own way of doing things, in educational plans, in our relationship with whether the medics or paramedics or psychologists or psychiatrists or counselors, how we bring in the paraprofessionals together, what technology and what is assistive technology, role of parents, learning material around them, and positive behavior management. All these are part of the essential inclusion parameters. The best thing is you may pick up any 1, 2, 3, depends on you. So if I have to ask you, I would, because some of you are already doing it, which practices are already in place? Which are the ones you're already doing? Or would you want me to tell what each stands for? Do let me know. Which practices are already, most of them, some of them, or partial? Let me know. How many of you are following these? How many of you are already into the inclusion supports and doing variety of things under these headings in your schools? I'm sure most of you are doing it. So from the areas we will cover together, we began with that it is about the mindset. It's about accessibility and intentional planning. The tools and the areas of 12, the tools and areas that are defined in 12 inclusion support system are the ones which make our plans of inclusion successful. So the first thing we need to do is identify, know your students. Please know about the range, and it is described. I'm going to use the two booklets which are very clearly available, and I'm going to use them. One is this handbook inclusion. Use the questionnaire, the checklist, and this booklet is available. I'm using referral of the booklet issued by CBSE NCERT. This is the booklet. First thing is use the checklist, and the checklist is so brilliantly defined for us, and I hope you are able to see it with the guidelines how to use it, the resources available, identifying the variety of differentiation or special needs. All the checklists are available to you. And how and what is the working of each individual, the roles are also clearly defined. Please identify your learners using the checklist available to you. And tell me why it is important that teachers, counselors, parents, and special educational needs should be aware of these disabilities. Have a look at it. How many of you have ever had the privilege of teaching students with special needs? And any of these that you have a story to share with us for? How many of you? How many of you have already done this? You've been the change mindset, you have used the identification practices, and you're clear. How many of you have done it before? How many of you already are having special needs, learning difficulties, gifted children in your classes, and you've identified them using the clear checklist and the parameters defined by the board or any other authority which is recognized? How many of you have done it? Okay, so it's a good start. Even if you've not done it, a good start. The first and foremost thing is know your children. The categories are physical disability, visual impairment, speech language disability, mental behavior, neurological, blood disorder, multiple disabilities, intellectual disabilities, and hearing impairment. Please take clear stand with the vision and mission. Only take students for whom you have the facilities and support and the professional expertise. Do not take admission for every child. If you have identified the child while she or he has been admitted, try to give the maximum support. I'm sharing my own way of doing things. Once we know the children, we organize the workflow. There are inductions. We have the identification of the students by teachers, observations for giving them the support by understanding what their problem is, how we have to do the modification, what kind of learning plans. We meet the parent and share the plans right from academic to the formal. And this is the role of the leaders. It means once we've identified the children, we also know that we have to modify. And why I'm saying it that you cannot have children and then modify it, or you can have children and then you cannot modify it for a specific purpose. A vision and mission and role of a leader are very important. Are you an inclusive school? If you are, what cultural climate you have? what kind of barrier-free environment you are building, what kind of teacher training and orientation programs you are holding, how you've adopted your curriculum, classroom, how clear you are about differentiated instructions, what assistive devices you have, not only for assessment, for other things, how you rate and use the health and physical fitness, how you are trying to accommodate their future also by bringing in vocational education and link with the outside or real world or community. Life skills, what is the role of a counselor, parents as essential partners, participation in all school activities, and most importantly, IEP. This I've kept in the last because this is the toughest thing. I want all of you to pick up 2 things and tell me which are the 2 things you like to pick up and use it in otherwise also your classroom, even if they are not identified differentiated learners or special learners. Which are the 2 things from this list in the range of policies, organizations, strategies you like to pick up and make it part of your everyday classroom? Can I have the comments, please? Because if there is no interaction, there is no learning. Can I have the comments? Which 2 things you like to pick up? Thank you, Megha ma'am. Parents as partners. And why do you think it is important? Suruchi ma'am, thank you. Vocational. Why do you think these 2 are important, Suruchi ma'am and Megha ma'am? Why you find them as important? Ranju ma'am, please comment. I see your hand being raised. You may unmute yourself and please say. Vasudha ma'am, thank you. Life skill, thank you. Role of counselor. Suruchi ma'am, it would be a lifetime learning. Absolutely. The connect is important. Parents would share with you all levels of a personality which might not be visible because of certain limitations. Ranju ma'am, thank you. Life skills. Thank you, Kusum ma'am, Megha ma'am. Role of counselor, role of counselor. Thank you, everybody. So we agree that these are essential elements in any ways, in any class, in a mixed class, in a class of heterogeneous abilities. These are good things to be adapted. What is the role of a teacher? The role of a teacher is primary. It is developing a positive attitude for self, team, and the whole school and classroom. Clear identification of children with special needs. Engaging all students in everyday activity. Collaboration among leaders, school leaders, parents, society, the paramedics, the medics, the counselors. A teacher's role is a bridge between all of them. Adaptation of curriculum, preparing the aids, and adaptive and progressive evaluation. Aren't we all already doing it? Tell me, aren't we already doing all these things? Whether it's special needs or whether children with variety of learning, aren't we already doing it? Let me hear from the team. Aren't we all already practicing all these things? Thank you, Dolly ma'am. Thank you, Jennifer. We already are doing it. Therefore, the next thing is to understand the policies. A clear definition is stated here. The RTE, the PWD Acts for modification in the buildings and what kind of support can come in, state education policies, CBSE examination bylaws and the affiliation bylaws, the RCI, what kind of certification support for teachers, trainings, or any kind of other clarification the Rehabilitation Center of India can give to us. Under United Nations SDG 4s, it becomes a moral responsibility. And now with new NEP 2020, we are to understand processes and procedures. And why these are important? Because a lot of facilities are already given. I'm sharing with you the 2 pages which are available as I shared with you the handbook. There are exemptions and there are other support systems which are there for such children. You will be surprised that board gives so much of support to these students. And if we adapt these in our daily or everyday learning teaching, it becomes a wonderful experience for all, and the fear or how to make the child successful after the schooling is cleared, and we have directions for it. I want you to tell me how many of you have seen this document before? How many of you know about these exemptions and support? How many of you have seen this? How many of you are already aware of this document and are sharing with parents, students, and your team members? Arvinda ma'am, Anand sir, have you seen these? Or some of us are not aware. Can I have the comments, please? How many of you are seeing it for the first time? It's okay. Let me hear. How many of you are seeing it first time? How many of you are aware of it? Let me hear your comments, please. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. Vasudha ma'am, thank you. Suruchi ma'am, thank you. That's okay. Isha ma'am, Rekha ma'am, thank you. And all these manuals are available. All these are there and all these are available. Thank you for being so straight and sharing that this is a first time. Have a look at these. These exceptions would give you a great support. Above all is advocacy. Because whenever a special needs child comes in a classroom, parents or the ones who have never seen the diversity raise questions, because it means some of the things will slow down. Some of the things will be adaptive. Some of the things will have a lot of other additions, not the straight teaching, learning, and exam. Collaborative, experiential projects, community adoption, all these will need a lot of clarity through orientation and advocacy. Students as buddies need to be empathetic. As a school, as a teacher, we need to do a lot of these things. We need to have a buddies for these students, and I have in my own experience seen how caring they are in their social and emotional quotient if there's a clarity from a teacher that this is an autistic child and he has these issues. When you see these signs, please raise the card and we will be there, or take to the resource room or take the child to the support system or support center. And it has been seen the children or buddies and even buddy teachers, the more they are engaged, they are oriented and motivated, they become more patient and are positive, they are able to have conflict resolution easily, negotiation skills, and their respect for everyone. The 21st century skills that we often talk about come naturally through this process. How many of you agree that it is a commitment and we have to advocate for it a lot, speak a lot of in orientations, parents meet, inviting the external experts, engaging learners completely, clarity of our curriculum plan, our assessment plan, our individual education plans. How important do you think this section is? How important it is? And what are the changes that you see as a teacher you have to take? What are the changes? What are the changes that you have to take when we talk about advocacy? What is the first burden you see will come to you? Or it is a new learning, we may call it positively. Let me hear from the team. What are the changes that you would be needing to do with your planning, your classroom practices, your assessment? Let's have comments. I see quite a silent audience. What changes it will demand from you? Let me hear from the team. A lot of changes, some changes, many changes. Suruchi ma'am, thank you so much. Collaboration, wonderful. What else? Who else? It involves everyone. Fantastically said, Suruchi ma'am. I would like somebody else to comment about it because it's a shift, mind shift. We agreed on. Mukta ma'am, thank you. Jennifer, thank you so much. Brilliant, vigilant, patient, and collaboration. Vasudha ma'am, thank you. Teamwork. Ekta ma'am, wonderful teamwork. Thank you so much. So once we agree on these things, we need to create documents, records, individual education plans, growth charts, CBP for teachers. You will have to train yourself a lot, monitoring, reviewing, collaboration with teachers, special educators, parents, therapists, performance records, school policies, school inclusion committee, list of referred cases, assessment worksheet, policy for identifying. All this is available to you in the documents that I shared. All the details are available to you. Please do not worry that you have to create. How will I keep the records? What kind of records I have to keep? A lot of material is available to you in the handbook, the manuals that are created. A lot of it is available to you. Please do not worry about it. But once the system is set in, supportive documents in these cases are very essential as per the bylaws and as per the laws of the special needs that are to be referred to. And some of the times we need to have clarity about how the child has grown from level 1 of special needs to being independent. So paperwork is very essential in completing what we say inclusion. So now what are the actions? 6 action areas. आप ये 6 action areas देख के मुझे बताइए कितना मुश्किल है, and then we move on to the next level. Clear definition means vision mission होना चाहिए for equity in education. आपके evidences होने चाहिए, whatever contextual barriers you have and progress of learners, that should be clear, whether it is modification in infrastructure, education plan, assessment plans. Then teacher support is also equally important. Are they being supported empathetically or they're being burdened? What plans we have for them? What kind of curriculum design and assessment procedures we have? How we are structuring it, how we are timing it, how we are managing this education. How we involve communities and development and implementation of policies for promoting inclusion and equity in education. ये 6 action plans हैं. I want you to tell me, easy है कि difficult है? आपके पास manuals हैं, you have a lot of other support. ये हो सकता है कि नहीं हो सकता? Because this is where I'm going to show you my attempt and I want critical comments from the team. हो सकता है ये 6 action plans हो सकते हैं? क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम आएंगी इसमें? Thank you so much, Jennifer. Mayuri ma'am, thank you. Tom, thank you. So instead of now wasting time, I'm going to show you how it is done in real by the organization I work for. सबसे पहले एक commitment है. I'm sorry, it's a commitment. It's a commitment to engage learners in a meaningful way. एक mission and vision होता है हमारे यहाँ. We try to put in a mission and vision statement. Once the mission and vision statement is there, objectives are clearly shared with the team. ये policy planning document है और उसके बाद handbook बनती है. Once we are clear on our mission and vision, we have our key points. Once the key points are shared with everybody, we create a team. We bring in, as I was sharing, all externals, internals, whosoever can bring in the best solution to us, keeping in mind our local needs. We get engaged with them. We have a sense support team. The internal teachers give in their comments. Kaisa raha? Then we identify whether we can have cognitive and intellectually challenging students and how we find them out, which checklists we used. Some children with communication and social interactions, how do we identify them and include them? Then the physical characteristics, some of them might not be physically ready to take up the normal setting up, what changes we'll do, what kind of support they'll need. Some of them might be psychologically needing our support. So the 4 categories are clear: cognitive and intellectual, communication and social interaction, physical, social, emotional, and mental health. These are 4 areas. Once we prepare the checklist for them, we call next section as child find and evaluate. For this, we have the whole team. Diagnosis ke liye sab aate hain, psychiatrist to psychologist to pediatrician to occupational therapists, special need teachers, other mental health, parents and staff. We call it as a child find. And we, again, as I was saying, we define the areas of evolution. Once that is done, area of evolution is defined, or evaluation, sorry, we move on to the areas of evolution. It means how are we going to do it? Once we've documented the eligibilities in various categories, we move on to make the plans. A clear plan is defined. If you see this with me, diagnosis followed by identifying. Once the eligibility in various categories are defined, we move further, we define the curriculum. I particularly wanted to show you in curriculum category, the first thing that we take up is not, if you can see it, cognitive. Kya padhana hai? The first thing is social, emotional, and physical targets, learning objectives that we define, and then we see how we fit in a cognitive. A child might be good in mathematics at grade 6, but needs support in language in grade 4, and therefore is taught grade 4 language. We clearly differentiate this and bring for our learners the individual education plans, or IEP. Very clearly this is defined. I'm sorry, the net is playing a little haywire, but I'll keep showing you as a sample that it is doable. Once this is done, IEP is defined, the progress charts are made. The preparation for classroom is done. The resource rooms are made, the special and collaborative classrooms are made. Infrastructural modifications are done for various needs. whether it's visual, physical, auditory, all things are done. And last but not the least, special projects and initiatives are taken for vocational. Special Olympics are held for inclusion. Advocacy walks are done and awareness is created along with teacher trainings. Now, next question that often is raised from us is, how do you set it? So I share with you a portfolio. Shivratan came to us with spectrometric disorder. We decided to create a portfolio. We worked on language and listening skills, reading and writing skills. We worked on the communication skills, reasoning and concept knowledge. We worked on math skills. We worked on learning about the world around me. We worked around understanding of the world and how to be relevant in the real world, engaging in various sensory or other forms of adaptability, interpersonal skills in true inclusion aspects, physical development, creative and musical skills, and last, being part of everyday activity. And that's how we end a year for our learner. I rest my case. I can show you many other documents. This is the individual education plan format. But after summing up, the responsibilities and roles are clear. So once again, share with you the entire journey we took today. We agreed that inclusion is about real engagement of learners in normal classrooms, not fitting them up. Then we moved to understand its belonging, and 12 clear elements are stated to us to make inclusion as part of our everyday practice. And the best thing is we can pick from them and start small. By the strength and the clarity of the vision and the strength of the staff, we'll try to learn and identify or child find and know the limitation of our students and start planning for their learning. We plan the workflow. We make policies, strategies, and set the organization where all are working for one and one is working for all. Collaborative, collectively. The steps, roles are clear, vision and mission, environment, teacher orientation, support systems, curriculum management, universal design. It is not, curriculum is different for special needs and different for others. Assistive technology, we get, as I was sharing, advocacy, lot of facilities are there. Once we've done it, what kind of documents we need to do. And I shared with you, documentation is not so difficult. It's very easy. And action plans to start for you. Get set action. I'm sharing with you the standard, the score that is already going on, the standards that we have to adhere. Small modifications will bring in big changes. Whether it is redoing the rules, whether it is restructuring the playground, it will bring in a big difference in the life of the children. Some of my teammates often ask me, you say assistive technology. I want you to tell me, are these things difficult to get? The high intensity devices are difficult, but are these things difficult to get? I want your comments on it. When you look at the assistive technology, what you think about it? When you hear about it, when you see the possibilities, what you think about it? Assistive technology is also about mindset. Do you agree seeing these? Do we have these in our everyday school or not? Do we have these things available in our schools or not? Is this assistive technology very difficult? Thank you, Kusum ma'am. Pooja ma'am, thank you so much. Megha ma'am, thank you so much. We might have challenges with high assistive technology, but all these are readily available. I rest my case, and this quote is something that I always like to share with my team members. I rest my case. I want discussions, questions, whatever support I can give you, any clarity that I can share with you. Please let me know. Any question, anything that you want clarity for.
Ma'am, I have a question. Uh,
Yes, Megha ma'am, yes, please.
uh, yeah, my school is, we have inclusive classes,
Okay.
and till junior grades, we also have shadow teachers for special needs students. But when I said that we have to collaborate with parents, and we do, so
Yeah,
that we get insight into the child. But
yeah.
the other parents are not as compassionate. It's very difficult to explain to children of these so called normal parents of these other children that why the class is going slower, why the court needs to be resized, why the library period cannot accommodate everybody reading out, why their child was not given an opportunity. It's very difficult to make them understand.
Megha ma'am,
So how do you?
yeah, I can empathize because when we began this journey, we are in Punjab, we are not tier one city where parents are very aware of all these limitations. And we had a beautiful child around 12 years ago when we started this journey. He was autistic and he had no school to go to, and the school he was going to refused to take him after grade 3. So for us, the similar, because the spectrometric autistic children have the mood swings, the behavioral issues are big. The only way we said to them was, instead of looking at parents, we went to the class. We began by having a resource room time for the child till all children adapted that, oh, we have this special child with us or special classmate with us. We build the learning modules. In the first 3 months, the child would come to class only for 2 hours. We formed the support groups of parents, students, and teachers, and the local community. After 3 months, the child started coming for 4 hours. After a year, he started coming only for 4.5 hours. It took us 2 days to set the tone and acceptance. It was a long journey. I understand your, angst, and I understand, but trust me, once we are able to make it clear that he is part of the school, adapting him or adopting that child was not so difficult. It's a journey, Megha ma'am. Buddy groups, support groups, local support, parents orientation, more social engagements than academic engagements helped us a lot. Any other question, please? I hope I answer your question, Megha ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other question, please? Any other clarity, any other story? Someone else has a story to share. Rajni ma'am, yes, please. I see your hand raised. Rajni ma'am, please go ahead. of you have had experience of having the special needs, the learning difficulties, or physically challenged student in your class? How many of you all had this experience and have felt the limitations like Megha ma'am shared? And how many of you know that there's support that's available through CBSE? How many of you already have been through this? And we all know with the NEP, it's going to be inclusion. We also know for the standardization, we all have to have the inclusive practices. Oh, Jennifer, thank you. Can you share?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Ma'am, I've had a special case in my class, in class 9th, as well as she was in class 10th. Her name is Anjali. Just now, last year, she's given her 10th exam and she's in class 11 now. Basically, she had eye problem. She was unable to see, like you can say, like 70% from one eye. One eye she was able to see, but the other eye, she was partially blind, you can say. So the challenge that I faced was that she didn't want help in the class, basically. She would say, ma'am, give me time.
Yeah.
So
And that's adaptation.
she wanted to, yes, and she wanted to be treated like the rest of the students.
Brilliant, brilliant, Jennifer, ma'am.
Yes. So we all did work hard with her. We did give her the time, and we always gave her the opportunity to be like the rest of the students. And she did very well in her 10th. Also, she scored very well. But in her 10th, we did approach CBSE, and we got, she didn't want a writer there again. She just wanted extended time.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant, Jennifer, ma'am.
Yes.
And
so she
brilliant.
Really done well, ma'am.
How did you feel about this whole journey?
Ma'am, it was very good. And the thing is that it really taught us a lot. As teachers also, it helped us to connect with the child, connect with the parent, and the child feeling so protective that, yes, my teacher is there with me. So that she always looked up to us. Before her paper, before everything, she would come to us for everything. She would say, ma'am, I don't want to do this like this. I want to be a part of each and everything. So she was a part of every group in the school. And she really, her performance was brilliant. She has 2 other siblings, 2 other brothers who haven't been able to do as good as her, whereas they are perfectly fine. They're normal children.
Thank you for sharing, Jennifer, ma'am. Thank you, and for making her ready to take over. I always say to take up the things and fulfill her dreams. Fantastic.
Yes,
Megha ma'am, I read it every grade you teach. Would you like to share your story?
Ma'am, yes, we have inclusive classrooms, and every grade, literally, as a class teacher and as a subject teacher, I teach English. And we have children who range from full autistic, not being able to speak or respond. Some are just barely managing with the keys on the laptop or something. Eyesight issues. Last year I had one specific boy. He's brilliant. He was in the US earlier. He's also been recognized under the Gifted Child program. But he has Asperger's. Socialization. So those issues, you cannot scold him, you cannot glare at him, you cannot, if he raises his hand, you cannot ask him to not speak, otherwise then he will be silent for maybe 2 months.
Yes,
and he will not get over out of it. So they take rejection. So it has been a slow journey, but with him, he's been with me now for 2 years. The last year was on special request by his own mother that he's doing very well. So the same teacher should continue. And we are doing okay. But more often than not, the children, like you said, kinder, are much more compassionate than the parents.
Yes.
The children are always coming forward, always helping, and beautiful actually to see them, and quite heartening too. So I have a lot of children. Last year was especially difficult for children who were used to have teachers, and then suddenly they don't. And then grade 8 onwards, PSC is not allowing shadow teachers in the classrooms now. So suddenly those children now, when they've come to grade 8, they don't know what to do. So difficult, but they're managing.
Brilliant, Megha ma'am. Thank you for sharing this, and what inspirational teachers you all are. Thank you. Because I like to hear these stories as we know that each case is different. Even if I've dealt with spectrometric, autistic, or Asperger's, every child is different. Every year we have to have something redone, even if we think we are prepared with it. Therefore, belonging is very important. And thank you for sharing the stories, the real stories. Anybody else have had such wonderful experience and such diverse experience in classroom? Your attendance is there. Please do complete the attendance formality. The link is there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sanjeev sir, thank you.
Nice workshop, ma'am.
Kind of you. I have resent the form. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.